Education is simply the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to another. Good morning and a warm welcome to all the delegates who have joined us today in this program. Without further delays, let's move on to the very first session. The chairperson for the session is Dr. Deepa Mandlik Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacology, Pune College of Pharmacy, Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university. Ma'am has pursued her post-graduation from AISSMS, Pune, and PhD from Nirma University, Gujarat. She has an overall experience of 10 years in academic and research. She has a total of 28 publications and 370 citations. She is also an author to 9 books and 3 book chapters. I request Ma'am to introduce the speaker for the session.
Thank you, Julie. On behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university, I, Dr. Deepa Mandlik, welcome you all in 2 weeks AICT-sponsored Quality Improvement Program on Medication Safety in Clinical Practice. It's honor to introduce Dr. Sonal Shekhar sir. He has working as an assistant professor, selection grade, Department of Pharmacy Practice, Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Dr. Sonal Shekhar received his B.Pharm and M.Pharm degree from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore, and PhD from Manipal University, Manipal. He has more than 14 years of experience in clinical pharmacy, teaching and research department, having 64 publications in national and international journals on his credit, including various journals like BMJ Global Health, Antibiotics, Medical Hypothesis, Journal of American College Nutrition, Expert Opinion on Pharmacotherapy and Nutrition, with Scopus H index of 9. He has written 8 books chapter in various areas of nutrition and clinical toxicology in Elsewhere and Taylor and Francis. He had received PharmaBridge Fellowship from FIP Netherlands for clinical pharmacy training in Canada. Moreover, he has received research grant from various agencies like Manipal McGill Center for Infectious Diseases for vitamin D research in diabetic foot infection, in addition to seed grant and intramural funding from MAHE. He is worked as a co-investigator in two funded projects by ICMR Northeast Seed Grant and Pfizer Global Medical Grant. He also received travel grants from various funding agencies like DST, DBT, ICMR, CICS, Tata Trust, ISPC, for presenting his research works in international conferences. He has visited various countries to represent his research work. He was awarded Best Poster in Manipal Cardiology Update in 2016 and 2018, TACON 2016, and Publon Reviewer Award. With this brief introduction, I request Sir to proceed for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepa, for nice introduction. So let me share my slide. Good morning, everyone. Whether my slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you for the Bharatiya Vidya University and even for the SCT and Dr. Majusha Madam for inviting me for this program. So today I'm going to talk about where do we stand in a patient-centered approach to medicine. So the coming 40 to 45 minutes, I'm going to cover for such as you can see that definitions of patient-centered care and even medication safety, and patient-centered medication safety measures, and patients' voice in the pharmacovigilance, and even the antimicrobial stewardship in respect to the patient-centered care. Then we'll see one case study, and I will show you what are the references I have used for preparing this presentation. So I want to start with this presentation with a saying by a French drama player. He had told that to undergo treatment, you have to be very healthy because apart from your sickness, you have to withstand the medicine. So those who already know about pharmacovigilance program, they may be come across this definition. So what exactly this definition means, you can see that whenever we are taking any medicines, we are taking a risk along with that. So that means no medical products are absolutely safe or any time or all the patients of uncertainty when we are consuming a medication. So that's the meaning of that. So what we have to do, our purpose is maximizing the drug safety. Okay, that is actually potential and growing demand of high quality healthcare. So similarly, if you are talking about the patient centeredness, okay, it's a recognized key to the high quality healthcare and even high quality drug development. This is not only related to healthcare, you can see this applicable throughout the healthcare field. Even in the pharma industry also looking for the patient-centered approach in the various process development, including you can see that in the clinical research also you can see these patient-centeredness are actually applicable. So you can see that now or you can see most of the time they will be receiving the multiple drug therapy for their multiple disease conditions. Okay, so there are recently a lot of studies have came up the evidence that the use of prescription medicines in elderly, that means geriatric patients, it is increased dramatically. The reason that will contribute for the, you can see that the reason behind, you can see since the patient have the multiple disease, so there will be a lot of the drug therapy. Okay, sometimes it will be prescription drug, sometimes it will be non-prescription drug. So the drug burden of the patients, especially elderly patients, it is increasing significantly. So that you can see that among that drugs, so most of the drugs may be high risk drug classes. Okay, that will increase the risk, especially the drug related problems in the patients. So if there is a drug related problem, you know that it will automatically it will increase the risk of adverse drug reaction and it may affect the patient compliance. So we can see the balance of benefit and harm of some medications. Okay, it is significantly altered in elderly. Apart from that, the elderly patients medicine should be early, and medicine which are not going to give the benefit should be stopped. For that purpose, we should need a good medication reconciliation process. Okay, good the medication reconciliation process. You can see normally we are doing that as a part of the medication history interview. But actual definition of medication reconciliation is we are comparing the medication order with what patient is actually taking. It's very important to avoid the medication errors, especially, and even the drug interaction, and even the duplication of medication. All these things we have to, we can avoid if you have the very good medication reconciliation. So already I mentioned about the, especially in the elderly geriatric patients, that drug burden it is increasing. So how we can quantify this drug burden in the elderly patients? For that, there is a mathematical calculation that is called drug burden index, or we can call it DBI. So this drug burden index is a pharmacological risk assessment tool that measures the burden of anticholinergics and sedative medication in older adults. So what it will do, it is specifically, it will analyze the effect of this medication in older adults. The meaning of drug burden index is as it is increasing, you can see that patient physical and even the cognitive function decline, that impairment you can see. So normally, if you say the drug burden index is 0, that means there is no anticholinergics or sedative in that patient prescription. Okay, so if drug burden index is low, means you can see that score is between 0 to 1. That means less than 1, we can say that drug burden index is low. Okay, Okay, high drug burden index indicate above 1 is indicated as a high drug burden index. So it's the coming slide, you can see that there's one prescription and how to calculate this drug burden index for a patient. So you can see the prescription here. Okay, it contains the irbesartan 300 mg. Okay, daily it is given. So second column you can see the daily dose. So 300 mg. Then third column you can see that minimum recommended daily dose. Okay, that is delta. So 65 mg effect. So it is coming under IRB. So when we are calculating the drug burden index, it is 0 for that. So it is not a anticholinergic or sedative. So second drug in the prescription is derifenacin. Okay, derifenacin is nothing but it is muscarinic antagonist. Okay, so what is actually daily dose you can see here 15 mg, and minimum recommended daily dose is around 7.5 mg. So already I told it is a muscarinic agent, it has anticholinergic effect. So this drug has to be considered when we are calculating the drug burden index. So you can see here the score is we are getting 0.67. So the formula what we are using to calculate drug burden index for the individual drug, you can see dose divided by daily dose divided by minimum recommended daily dose plus daily dose. So that formula is given here, DBI is equal to D, that means daily dose divided by daily dose plus delta, that means minimum recommended daily dose. So that will give the individual drug DBA. You can calculate the 7. Next drug is temazepam. It is actually benzodiazepine derivative. So daily dose is 7.5 mg. Then minimum daily dose acetaminophen, already you know, no anticholinergic effect. So we'll give 0. Then we have codeine. So codeine is a sedative effect is there. So we have to calculate DBA for the codeine. So we'll get the 0.43. So the summation will give the total drug burden index of that prescription. So this for this particular prescription, you can see that the DBA what we are getting is 1.6. So this is an example for a medication regimen for an older adult in a USA. So here minimum recommended daily dose, it is actually based upon the US FDA calculation. Okay, US FDA recommended minimum daily dose is given here. That's how we will calculate the drug burden index. Already I had told. So if it is high drug burden index, that will impair patient physical and cognitive function. So most existing and description and evaluation of so that's what we are telling here. Drug burden index, it is showing that whether the patient have the high anticholinergics or sedative drug that the patient is receiving. So most of our existing drug therapy, it is the management strategy. It is mainly focused on the healthcare system oriented measures. Okay. So that's the reason we need to focus mainly for the patient-centered care. So what exactly this patient-centered care? Okay, it is nothing but we are treating a person who is receiving the healthcare with dignity and respect, and involving them for all the decision about their health. Okay, so when we are talking about the medication therapy management, okay, there are different phases are involved. Okay, each phases we are considering the patient or patient voices we are giving the importance. That is called patient-centered approach. So even another term, so that synonymously we are using along with the rights when we are managing the healthcare. So what is exactly the definition of patient-centered care or person-centered care? You can see here, it is nothing but providing the care that is respectful of and responsive to the individual patient's preferences, needs, and values, and ensuring that patient values guide all the clinical decisions. That is called patient-centered care. Okay. So you can see the slide, right? It's moving according to, right? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
So you can see in this slide, I have given the various parts or parameters in the patient-centered care. Okay. We'll start with the mission and values aligned with the patient goal. So that means the care what we are giving, it should be aligned with the patient goal. Second one, you can see there are 4 C's of patient-centered care. So already we have seen that. So main things that 4 C's among that culture, care, communication, and even the collaboration. Okay, these are the 4 C's related to the PCC or patient-centered care. Care. So suppose if you are not sure you are receiving the patient-centered care, so there are some self-assessment questions. So these questions you have to ask among yourself. Okay, you can ask yourself these questions. So we'll discuss one by one. The first question is, okay, what do you have to ask yourself to ensure whether you are receiving the patient-centered care is, have you been asked about your needs and preferences, and is the healthcare professional working to meet them? Okay, that is the first question. Second one, have you been encouraged and supported to be involved in the planning and making decision about your care? Okay, whether the doctors are giving sufficient opportunity to open you. Okay, so asking your opinion. Okay. Third one, have you been given the option to involve a support person or interpreter during the consultation? Whether your family members or whether your friends are allowed, whether they are involved or whether you can get the timings to discuss with them. Okay, all these are matters when you are talking about the patient-centered care. Fourth point is, as the communication from the healthcare professional have been clear and in the language you understood. So most of the time, doctors, when they are talking, they will use the technical terms. But when you are dealing with the patient, whether they are explained in the layman language, whether you understood their language, okay, all these things are, if they are discussed that way, so that means they are providing you a patient-centered care. Next point is, you can see as the healthcare prof for you, they have considered your feelings, whether they considered your opinion. Okay. Last one, does the healthcare organization have a clear feedback process? And have you been told about this? Okay, these are the questions you have to ask among yourself before and to identify whether you are receiving the patient-centered care or not. So nowadays, you can see that as we are told, the patient-centered care have, even though it is a growing field, it is giving the lot of momentum nowadays. Apart from that, you can see a lot of research are going on this patient-centered care. Among moreover, there are acceptability of the patient regarding the patient-centered. That also some of the research area what we can do. Okay, I have given one study recently published in the BMC Health Services Research. The title of this research was the importance of patient-centered care and co-creation of the care for the satisfaction with care and physical and social well-being of the patient with multiple morbidity in a primary care setting. So what exactly they have seen, a patient satisfaction, those who are suffering with the multiple morbidity in a patient treated in a primary setting. So what they have found from the study, you can see here, the patient-centered care has the potential to make care more tailored to the need of the patient with multiple morbidity. That means the patient who are suffering from the multiple disease condition. Okay, such people, if you are following a patient-centered care, so it will give a tailor to identify the need of the patient. Yes, we are with the medication safety when we are talking about the patient-centered care. Okay, so that means patient-centered care and medication safety measures. So what exactly that we'll see here. So whenever we are measuring, okay, for patient outcome or what are the medication therapy. So measuring what matters to the patient is important. Okay, what patient is willing, okay, that is very important. So because the patient engagement or having patient take an active role in bringing their knowledge, concern, perspective, and agenda to their healthcare, so that can improve the effectiveness of medication safety and intervention. So, however, sometimes although the patient reported measures of health status has been more commonly used, like that you can see the quality of life assessment, that is actually patient reported outcome measure. Okay, we will use for the most of the time such measures mainly we are using to assess the patient health status. But in relation to the medication use, okay, it is very rarely we are using. Okay, that's the meaning here. The medication safety is rarely measured by asking the patient directly. Okay, medication safety experts earlier, now not now, earlier when we are even reporting the adverse drug reaction also, the doctors or physician or those who are involved for the reporting, they will just see the medical record or just examine the patient and they will report. They are not taking in account the patient's opinion. Okay, but now it is already changed. You can see when we are talking about the applications of patient-centered care in pharmacovigilance or patient's voice in pharmacovigilance. Okay, how this is changed, how we have considered patient voices also, we can see in the coming slide. So a patient-centered approach to evaluation of patient-reported measures and even patient-centered approach to the measurement. When you are talking about the patient-reported measures, okay, that involve the medication-related symptoms and even the burden. That means ADR, everything will come under the patient-reported measures. Okay, when you are talking about the patient-centered approach to the measurement, that involve the long-term issues and those the factors that is affecting the quality of life. Okay, all these things we have to consider when we are talking about the perspective of medication safety in relation to the patient-centered approach. So in this table, you can see that patient-centered medication measures, medication safety measures. Okay, there are two measures. One is patient-centered medication safety measures. Another one, what you can see that the system-tailored medication safety measures. Okay, patient-centered medication safety measures and system-centered medication safety measures. So first things what we are going to see is actually patient-centered medication safety measures. So in this first column, it is given the various measures. Second column, it is describing what approaches we have to follow to increase the patient-centeredness regarding the medication safety process. So the relevant approach is collect and include data on the patient preference in communication with providers. Okay, through either telephonic, electronic, or even the preferred languages. Okay, so that should be there in the record. Second measure is engagement, patient engagement. So ask the patient about the preference in their engagement with providers, ask the questions, and discuss the goal of the medication. Third one, you can see. So in this case, ask the patients about the healthcare and safety goals and medication approaches appropriate for achieving their goal. Okay. Fourth one, patients concerned about the safety. So collect and report information outside of provider visits. Relay the information to the patient's goal. Last measure among the patient-centered, okay, patient-centered medication safety measure is patient-reported experience. This include discussion or survey of the patient goals, preferences, and medications that willing to take by the patient. So these things called patient-centered medication safety measures. On the other hand, you can see that health system tailored or oriented medication safety measures you can see. In that first one is medication discrepancies. Okay, medication discrepancies means mismatch. Okay, this include how we can the relevant approach we can use for increasing the patient-centered for the medication discrepancy that include the patient reporting of importance of adherence to the specific medication. Okay, So the what case study what we are discussing, it is on the medication adherence. How it is medication improving the medication adherence, how it is going to improve the patient-centered approach and thereby improving the safety or management of drug therapy. Next measure is drug-drug interaction, talking about the drug-drug adverse event and side effects with an annotation of patient preference. Third measure in the health system is medication errors. So especially medication errors, we have the various kind of medication errors. Among that, mainly commission and omission error. Commission error means the values or the name may be wrong. That is called commission errors. Omission error, we are forgot to document or record the name or even the values. That is called omission errors. So this include patient preference for the medication use, side effects, and even cost. Next measure is appropriateness. Okay, this should include patient reporting of treatment burden and medications patient want to take. Fifth measure is adverse drug events. Okay, this should include data on preferences, side effects, and long-term adverse effects in the records. Last one, in the health system oriented medication safety measure is non-adherence. Okay. So what we have to do, collect and include data on the health priorities for patients, including preferences for the medication and side effect in records. So this is called the health system oriented measure for the patient safety. So already we have told about the pharmacovigilance, so the drug safety or adverse drug reaction. So how nowadays we can see that the patient's voice in the pharmacovigilance, okay, that the recent changes in the reporting of the adverse drug reaction itself. Okay, so you can see that now our PVPI, Pharmacovigilance Program of India, that is accepts the report from the lay members of the public or anyone else who is not a healthcare providers. Earlier, the earlier program, we have the earlier program is called National Pharmacovigilance Program of India. Now it is renamed as PVPI, Pharmacovigilance Program of India. Okay, so earlier program, only the healthcare providers, doctors, nurses, or physiotherapists, pharmacists can only report the adverse drug reaction. Now it is changed. Even patients are also encouraged to report the event due to any drug-related experience, what they have, adverse effects, what they have experienced. So patients can also report to the adverse drug reaction to the monitoring centers or even the coordinating center. The only the thing is actually the reporting forms are different. I will show you the patient reporting forms. Okay, and even the healthcare reporting form is little different from the patient. It's not little, it is highly different from the patient reporting forms. Patient reporting forms are, it is a simplified version. Even the name also, it is called a side effect, medication side effect reporting form for the patient reporting form. So you can see that PVPI website, if you go to the Pharmacovigilance Program of India website itself, you can see that here, where all the healthcare providers and even patients can report for the ADR as a concern of safety. Okay, you can go and access this website. So it will give you all the kits and tools for reporting of the adverse drug reaction and guidelines where to report, what to report, all this information you can gather from that. So this indicates that the patients can also participate. So that patient-centeredness has given priority in the reporting of adverse drug reaction. Previous reporting system not involved. Okay, now you can see that the patient's experience also have taken in account for this for all the level of reporting of adverse drug reaction. So this is the form actually using for the patient medication side effect reporting form. Okay, for the consumers, that means for the patient reporting form. In that all the details you can see patient details, health information details, and details of the person reporting the side effect, and details of medicine taken or already taking, or about the side effects and how bad was the side effect and describe the side effect. That means description of the reaction. All these things, okay, in the point of patient is addressing through this form. Moreover, this form is available almost 10 vernacular language. Marathi is available, Kannada language, Assamese language, different language, almost 10 languages translations are available. That can be accessed through this PVPI website. Okay, you can easily download these various local languages. So this diagram what is indicating that point of patient engagement with related to the drug safety function. In an adverse drug reaction or drug safety reporting system, okay, what is exactly the patient journey? Okay, what's involvement of patient in the drug safety? You can see through this diagram. First thing you can see the starting from the experience of the symptom. That means experience of the adverse drug reaction. Then you can see seek medical care. Then receive the diagnosis. In consultation with the healthcare. This involve, okay, you can see that provide input on label presentation of benefit and risk data. Moreover, provides data on patient preference for the product benefit profile. Next is learn how to take medicinal products safely and appropriately. That involves patient participation in the human factor testing of products. That means the clinical trial or even device interference or instruction for the use. Moreover, that also involves the provides input on the type, feasibility, acceptability of additional risk minimization measures and participation in piloting of additional risk minimization materials. Last point of patient engagement, you can see evaluate whether he or she will continue taking the product in light of response to the treatment. That should involve reporting of adverse drug reaction and any quality complaints and participation in the post authorization studies on the long-term product safety. So post authorization study means you can see post marketing surveillance study on the long-term product safety. Apart from that, that also involve the participations in the evaluation of effectiveness of additional risk minimization measures. Okay, these are the things, okay, or points of patient engagement with drug safety. So until now, so now you can see that all of you are familiar with the antimicrobial stewardship program. So in respect to that, what is actually patient-centered care approach? Why the patient-centered care approach is very, very important for the successful implementation of antimicrobial stewardship. Already you know that actually antibiotics are life-saving drugs and their discovery is actually one of the most important advances of 12th century. But there are now, you can see that various evidences are showing that antimicrobial misuse is widespread in every healthcare system, whether it's a primary or secondary or tertiary healthcare system. A widespread antimicrobial usage or irrational antimicrobial usage you can see. So what it will contribute? It will contribute for the emergence of multiple drug resistant organisms and which threaten to undermine the many of the most important medical advances of this last century. So what is the most important? To preserve the utility of these life-saving drugs. Okay, for that we must use the antibiotic very judiciously. So this judicious use of antimicrobials or antibiotics are called antimicrobial stewardship program. So what is exactly this antimicrobial stewardship? Okay, it refers to the intervention designed to promote the optimal use of antibiotic agents, including the drug choice, dosing, route, and duration of administration. So what is actually the patient's involvement? A patient involvement, a successful implementation of this antimicrobial program, whether it's in a community level or institutional level, a patient level is prime important because end usage of antibiotics is actually the patient. That means the end consumer of this antibiotic is actually patients. The patients, we have to ensure that even though we have very good antimicrobial system at the institution, but that the patient level, if they are not judiciously using or over the counter, especially countries like India, you can see that even the antibiotics are available in the over the counter. Okay, any antibiotics, even though most of the antibiotics, at least some antibiotics are coming under the schedule XX schedule, still it is available over the counter. Okay, so to avoid such situations or even the rational usage of antibiotics, we have to educate the patient and involvement of patient. Okay, patient-centered approach is required. Okay, so then only we can successfully implement the stewardship program. So to address the antimicrobial resistance, all the clinicians must become the stewards of antimicrobial by prescribing them appropriately. Not only that, even there should be a good rapport with the patient, educate the patient and their even colleagues to proper use of this increasingly scarce medical resource. Otherwise, what will happen? All the antibiotic resources will go for vain. There will not be any antibiotic remaining whenever there is a critical conditions are coming. So here, what we are going to say about adherence, adherence is how much important when you are talking about the management of drug therapy. So that importance of adherence or patient complaints. So how much important that we can see through this case study. So all of you know that non-adherence is most of the time it is one of the reasons behind for the failure of pharmacotherapy, okay, especially the conditions where there is a complex medications are using. For example, the disease condition like schizophrenia or secondary prevention of cardiovascular diseases and even the management of some respiratory diseases. Okay, similar way, this is also important in case of drug safety also. So we'll see. I mean, this condition, this will be exemplified with following the case study of one patient. We'll call it for time being. We'll call that patient as Mrs. A. So she's an older woman. So the primary diagnosis of this patient is a COPD. For that, doctor is given the furosemide. So you the COPD management. So one of the complications of COPD, all of you know that you can see there will be a pulmonary edema, especially the COPD condition called chronic bronchitis condition. You can see there is a chances to develop the pulmonary edema. It can lead to the cor pulmonale and even the, you can see right heart failure, right ventricular heart failure. So that will lead to the accumulation of fluid in the lungs. To manage that, the doctor will give the furosemide. So same thing, this older woman who is suffering from this COPD, doctor prescribed the furosemide for this patient. So Mrs. A described, so she told that her doctor is saying, you need to take this medication. Okay, therefore, they will she will get the, so it is telling. Okay, only the doctor is told that this medication she has to take regularly, so it will make her better. But no further information was given, including the timing of the dose and potential adverse effect to expect. Okay, what are the potential adverse effects she can expect after receiving this medication? So after going home, Miss A took one furosemide tablet at the home at the next day morning because doctor is not told what time she is supposed to take. So she took the medicine at the next day morning and after that probably stop the treatment after developing the polyuria. So a major side effect, one of the common side effect of the excessive urination patients felt, so she stopped the medication. So the reason behind stopping this medication, it is not just polyuria. We will see here what exactly is happening. Polyuria itself for discrimination bathroom. So when she have the attached bathroom at her bed, so she has to climb the stairs to reach the fatigue and older woman, elderly. So for for the next few days, any more furosemide tablets. That leads to the worsening of her COPD. Not only that, her global clinical status and quality of life also impaired because of the patient's patient one, where the so that means the patient's okay, what is patient realized the indication furosemide has not been made explicit. I not understand why that moreover the potential ADR of furosemide that was aware by the patient. So patient realized that matters. The physician did not know. Okay. So what we are talking about the patient patient adherence is clear, right? So so here doctor also. So based upon that, doctor given the patient the furosemide prescription on the stays from the morning to noon to rest. Okay, so with easy access to the nearby bathroom. So this manner so you can see that patient the complaint doctor is not exactly the problem of the patient. That leads patient doctor recognized by approach what is exactly what priority patient is giving. So this case you can see that patient is identified, so the treatment become successful. That's the importance of patient-centered approach. So I want to conclude here that whenever we are talking about the patient-centered, assessing the intervention in improving the patient safety should include both healthcare system oriented and patient-centered measurement concept. Especially this is important in this case of medication safety. Moreover, the further research should address how effectively and efficiently the patient-centered measures should be considered in the medication safety while preparing the slides. So I will share this slide so you can go through later. So if you have any questions, you can.
To summarize this lecture, Sir has nicely explained various definitions like patient-centered care, medication safety, drug burden index, patient-centered medication safety measures, patient's voice in pharmacovigilance, antimicrobial stewardship. Sir has nicely explained various case studies on non-adherence and 4 C's of patient-centered care. So with this summarization, I request all the participants, the session is open for question and answer. If participants have any doubt, they can share their doubts with Sir. Sir, I think from the participant sides, there is a no doubts. So, sir, thank you for accepting our invitation.
I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. So if you have any doubt, you can mail me this email ID. Okay, I think there was some connection issue. So most of the time, I don't know whether you guys
Okay,
can
sir.
hear proper way.
Okay, sir.
You can go
Participants,
through
if
that.
have any doubt, they will share on the email ID. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for the informative session. Let's get back at 11:10 for the news
Thank you,
segment.
ma'am.